Hi guys, welcome back to the personal interview session. In this session, we're going to talk about the strength and the weaknesses. One of the most important question of your personal interview. Now, I'm going to give you guys a couple of experiences of mine, and then we're going to kind of jump onto the strengths and the weaknesses. When we talk about strength, what comes in your mind? Strengths like, okay, I'm positive, I'm optimistic, these and that and all that stuff. Now, I'll tell you my experience. Being a panelist, every time, whenever I ask this question to candidates saying that, okay, tell me something about your strengths, most of the time, 99% of the time, I see students answering this question on a personal note. Again, nobody has ever got to categorize this saying that, okay, you just tell me your personal strengths. And that is the reason in this tutorial, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give you guys a perspective wherein you as a candidate tells the panelist over there saying that, okay, my strengths on a personal note and on the professional note. So I really want you guys to bifurcate your strengths as a personal strength and the professional one, because most of the time we have some amazing skills that we actually learn and earn at the office or maybe at the time of graduation when we don't really talk about it. And that is the reason in this session we're going to talk about the personal strengths and the professional one also. And that's where, trust me, it actually kind of adds value to your answer, because you are talking something which is different than the other people who are actually coming for the interview. So let's begin with your strength. Now, number one strength that I always want you guys to start with is being optimistic. Now again, here is a disclaimer. You can see there are a lot of strengths there on this slide. You don't have to tell them everything. To begin with, right? To begin with your strength, it's always good to have round about 3 strengths. 3 strengths are more than enough. Trust me, because I tell you, as a panelist, I'm really not looking forward for your strengths. I just ask you because it's a job to ask you. However, I'm more keen on your weaknesses. So strength is something that I can anticipate that what strength you're going to talk about. And that is the reason here, I am going to give you guys a couple of strengths which can be used by a graduate person or which can be used by a work expert, right? Now, let's talk about the strength, optimistic. Now, the another thing that you need to keep in your mind is that whenever you talk about a strength, you cannot tell them strength as a plain vanilla stuff. Or you just cannot tell them, my strength is optimistic, right? I am a very positive person. Don't do that. You always back it up with a strong story to it. You always tell them that, why I believe that I am a positive person, narrate a story of your life. You can narrate a story on the life, like maybe on a personal life front or maybe on a professional front. You can say that, when I started my job after my graduation, I had to go through a lot of tests and I had to go to a lot of exams and all that, because my job was technical. You can say that my job was equity analyst, and the kind of knowledge base that it requires is definitely on the other side. I, like being a positive guy, I could learn a lot, and eventually I improved a lot, right? You can say that. You can also narrate a story saying that, in my first attempt of my CAT or like say ZAT or whatever, I could not score very well, but I did not give up. I actually went ahead, I stayed positive, I kept that optimistic, kind of a thing in my mind, and today I'm here sitting for the interview. Last year I had no calls. This year I'm fortunate to have at least 1 or 2 calls, right? That's how we can start. So optimistic is one. Then you can talk about the versatility. B-School loves this strength, versatility. You can say that, okay, along with my strength. Now understand this, guys, what I'm trying to tell you. It is not going to be always possible that you will be asked strength and weakness, or you will be asked the first question in the interview, tell me about yourself. You might be asked strength and weakness as a first question. And that's the reason this can act as a very good eye-opener. This can act as a very good icebreaker for you. So with no versatility, you can say that along with little bit okay with the academics, I have also done dancing, I have also done XYZ program, I have also done, let's say one-act play, I love to write play, I love to write poems. So versatility is kind of strength which can actually open up your resume, which gives you the opportunity to talk about a lot. Rather to kind of express yourself. Tell them that what are the stuff that you have done apart from giving this exam, apart from scoring well in the exam, on the extracurricular front, what are the things that you have done. They might not ask you extracurricular at a first go. Here is an opportunity for you to tell that I am a versatile. Again, versatile does not mean multitasking. Mind you, versatile does not mean multitasking. Versatility means, okay, I can do an acting also, I can sing also, I can play also, and I can study also, right? So versatility is something is required by all the B school. You talk about the IMs, ABCs of the world, or you talk about the other, it is required. The other strength is going to be flexibility. Flexibility shows that definitely, I am somebody. Now here's the thing, right? You need to kind of make it a little bit lengthy out here. You can say that what I mean to say flexibility is that I always believe in unlearning and learning something. This is actually applicable to all the work experience guys out there. So guys, understand, when you are a work ex guy, what happens is you have learned certain things in a certain way. And that is the reason when I'm taking work ex guy on board as a B school or as a company for that matter in the final placement, it's quite impossible. It's a little bit tough to blend people who are with the work ex. So I can say that, sir, I'm very much flexible. You can see I have around about 3 to 4 years of work experience, but I'm really flexible to unlearn and learn something because I'm always open for new stuff as far as learning is concerned. So that's where you actually make your case even more stronger. Let's move with the other thing, adaptability. Adaptability. Now this is very important for engineers, BCA, BSc, mathematics, arts, psychology kind of a background people, because when you say adaptability, because you're already coming from a different background altogether. Now you got to adapt yourself. That most of the time when people say that accounting, economics, I really cannot do it, but you can tell them that sir, I understand that I come from a BCA background or I come from a BSc mathematics background. However, I'm very much adaptable and I definitely know that I will be taking the curriculum seriously and I will be learning because I am an adaptable person. That's where you actually putting up your case even more stronger, and this gives a kind of an understanding to your panelists that okay, this particular student, he knows that there is going to be economics, there is going to be finance, and people do find it a little bit tougher, but this guy is ready for it, and that's how you're making your case even more stronger. Next thing, perseverance. Now it's up to you whether you want to really talk about it or you don't really want to talk about it. Perseverance is a very common strength, but guys, mind you, if you have a story to back it up, this should be your second strength after being optimistic. You can talk about it. Okay, in my 10th standard, sir, you can see I scored 60%. In 12th, I scored 70%. In my graduation, I was 75. See, most of the time when you look at, even if you speak to your friends, right, the academic graph is always going down. But if you have an academic graph, like the graph which is moving the ladder up, you got to make a note of it. You got to tell them that what, this is what I've done. Perseverance. You can tell them, sir, English is not my first language. I'm a vernacular student, but still today I believe that I speak okay type of English, or I am able to communicate my thoughts, I am able to kind of articulate my stuff, my thoughts, whatever. So you can tell them that I am perseverant about one thing. If I do not know something, I'll go ahead and I'll learn it. I'll make it a point that I do it very well. So that's perseverance. Energetic. You might sound this little bit awkward that okay, how energetic is going to be strength of somebody. Yes, indeed it is. You can tell them I'm enthusiastic, I'm energetic. I love to try new things. I'm kind of motivated to do an MBA because energy is going to be required by you all when you get into the MBA. Because you're going to have a schedule now about 13-14 hours, so you got to put in efforts, right? Energetic. But again, it's one of the strength. You like it, keep it, not can move it. Another, dedication. Again, it's kind of on a line of perseverance. You can pick up if you really want it. Quick learner. Quick learner is good. You say that, okay, what? When I say quick learner, I'm really not kind of flaunting my IQ out here. It's just that definitely if there is something that needs to be learned by me, I will be putting in efforts. Rather than put in extra efforts or hard work, but I'll make it a point that I learn it. So I'm a quick learner. I can adapt things very well. Then comes risk averse. This is one of the things that I would recommend. Risk averse is basically you are somebody who understands how to take decisions keeping risk in mind. Now that's quite important as an MBA aspirant. I would definitely expect somebody to have a knowledge of how do you take a couple of decisions, maybe professional decisions, maybe your personal decisions, wherein you actually kind of quantify what is the risk of taking this decision. Let's say you are somebody who's got a job, like you worked there for like around about a year, and then you left it. Now you want to do an MBA. You are a risk averse person because you know that you are kind of mitigating the risk in your career. Because MBA is always going to take you on a different ladder altogether. And that's when you tell them that I am a risk averse person. Trust me, try this out. You just tell them that I am a risk averse person. They're going to ask you, okay, can you explain it to me more? That's where you keep the ball in your court again and again. And you always give them the answer that they would love to listen to. So, risk averse. Next, goal oriented. A lot of people, a lot of students, they say that I'm result oriented. You got to say that I'm goal oriented. I don't know what is going to be the result. I'm going to put in my 110, 120%. I don't really want to focus on the result. I'm going to keep my eyes on my goal. So to reach a goal, I'm going to create small milestones. I'm going to keep achieving them. And eventually, I will be achieving my goal. And if I put in my 110 or 120% in the hard work that I do, my results are going to be always and always good. I don't want to be a manipulative kind of a person who actually thinks about result and then take the action. That doesn't work all the time. And that's where, I always believe in actually, focusing more on goals rather than the results. So that's going to be one of the strengths that you can talk about. Another, self-control. You can tell that, you know what, I meditate, I do yoga. Even if you don't, you can say that I know how to control myself. I know how to be under control, how to take kind of, you can say that, how to control my emotions, how to control my anger, right? How to control that anxiety, right? So that's something you can talk about. And trust me, people will appreciate if you tell them, because telling them that having a self-control is something, it's kind of a hint or sign wherein you know yourself very well, and that's a mature talk. That's a really mature talk. Next important, eye for detail. A lot of times when you work in a B school, when you study in a B school, or whenever you get into a job, most of the time people do not have an eye for detail. They'll get the work done and they'll kind of pass it on to another one. So you're going to say that, okay, I have learned this to have an eye for a detail. Now, when did you learn this? You are a fresher. I learned it while my graduation. We have done a lot of projects. During this project, I used to make mistakes. But eventually, I kind of rectified them. And as a result, I understand, I've learned it, that you have to have an eye for detail. Because now, it's a graduation thing. When you join all these multi-billion-dollar companies, you really cannot mess with the data. Or, you really cannot mess it missing anything, right? So that's very much important. That's I've learned, that eye for detail. Because again, you really cannot prove. They can't say that, okay, prove to me, how do you have an eye for detail? Even if they kind of throw that kind of a bouncer or kind of bummer, like okay, prove it. Even the panelists know that this is something you cannot really prove, right? Simple. So this is something really good and safe also. Then team building. You might wonder why this guy talking about team building. Why it's not I'm a good team member. See, everybody can be a good team member. If you just take care of your personal stuff, if you just take care of your attitude, you can be a good team member. And I think nowadays people are a good team member. Even if you don't like to be, you got to work in team, right? So you kind of adjust at the end of the day. Team building is something that you got to talk. This is different. He's going to ask you, what do you mean by team building? You say that, sir, not only a good team member, right? I am also a good team builder. Like I love to build teams. I have done this during my graduation. I have done this during the event management, during the projects that I have done. Can I say that I have done this in my graduation, and I have done this in my office. The job that I was working on, I'm pretty good at building the team, hiring or choosing right set of people, with whom I would love to work. Team building is something really good. Then, risk-taking ability. Now, this is kind of opposite to risk averse. So you can't talk about both the things at a one shot. Agar aapne risk averse bola, then don't talk about risk-taking ability. Say that I believe strongly in taking risk. Trust me. And that is the reason, I'm doing an MBA, because, okay, I had an offer after my graduation, I was getting paid very well out there, but I thought of doing an MBA. This can be an answer for a fresher. You can say that even after having a 2 years of job, good money, good package, my family also was happy, I'm taking this risk, and I know that this risk is worth taking, which is doing an MBA now. So I'm somebody who will be actually kind of open to take risk, right? So you can say that risk-taking ability is something my strength. Last but not the least, this is also something I really want to kind of, include in your answer, which is leading without the title. It's a book, by the way, and it's a wonderful thing. See, a lot of people, they will always do the job only if that job is assigned to them, or if that job is assigned to their kind of a designation. A lot of people will not do a job saying that, this is not my KRA, this is not my JD, this is not my role, this is something over and above. But you can say that I've learned this in my school level, I've learned this in my graduation, I've learned this in my office, that I'm somebody who can lead without the title. So I'm always open to take up responsibilities. I'm always open to take up, any kind of a work wherever I feel that, here I can learn something. And I've done this. I have led a couple of projects, I've led a couple of events in my graduation. You can say that I've done the same thing in my office also, in my job also. And that's the way, guys, always remember, out of this entire thing that you can see on the slide, pick up 2 to 3 strengths. Very well. Don't brag about it. Don't ever underperform on it. But when you want to tell them a story so that they buy it, they believe on it, right? And that is the reason, guys. These are going to be the strengths that I want you all to kind of put down on your resume, or kind of put it down on your forms for B schools, or say this confidently during your interviews. Now, these are the strengths. What you can do is, on the professional side, your professional strengths can be, you're pretty good at Excel, okay? You're pretty good at PowerPoint, you're pretty good at VBA, you're pretty good at macro, the macro that we kind of apply on the Excel. Again, it's very subjective. If you have learned this, then definitely you can talk about it. Like Excel work, you can talk about MS Office, right? You can also talk about I'm pretty good at Six Sigma. I've done a certification on Six Sigma. I know what is DMAC, I know what is Kaizen, right? I know what is lean management. Then you can talk about it. You can say that I am pretty good at AI. I've got a project done on AI. I was exposed to AI. I did a fantastic job. You can talk, because trust me, professional strengths matters a lot as far as your B school is concerned. Nobody talks about professional strength. You may be pretty good at macro. You must have worked. You might have built macros, during your graduation, engineering, or maybe during your office. But people don't talk about it. That is the reason. That's the main problem. That you talk about it. Now, anything else, like you might say that I'm pretty good at Java. I'm pretty good at .NET. I'm pretty good at coding. So guys, when you talk about professional things, you got to make it a point that you got to pass on the message that even I have certain professional strengths. So what you can do is, let's say, if you're damn good at let's say, finance analyst, or let's say you're damn good at macro, or let's say coding, you can talk about 4 strengths, 2 personal, 2 professional. And when you talk about it, see, that opens a discussion. You tell them that, sir, I'm really good at VBA, I'm really good at coding, I'm pretty good at Excel. They're going to ask you, okay, tell me what are things you have done. If you tell them I've done the Excel, that gives you the opportunity to kind of take them towards the another question, or rather the another answer. Wherein you can talk about, sir, this was one of the projects that I've done on the Excel in my college or in my office. That's how you roll the ball. That's how you kind of carry your interview by yourself. You just tell them, and they're going to ask you a question, and you answer. And that's how you take the control of your interview. So guys, this is from my side as far as the strengths are concerned. Okay, now I'm going to move ahead and we're going to discuss weaknesses, which is even more important. Alright, so let's do weaknesses. Now remember, in the weaknesses, always tell them weaknesses which are connected to the answer why MBA. Most of the time we just talk about weaknesses that I'm emotional, I am perfectionist. Don't talk about all these things. These are like all the old gimmicks, or these are all the old patterns. So if you talk about your weaknesses, guys, always keep in mind that you talk about weaknesses which can get connected to why MBA. I'm going to give you a couple of questions. Rather, I'm going to give you a couple of weaknesses very quickly. Number 1, laconic. Laconic, it's a good word that shows that you've got a good vocab, right? Laconic means people who talk up to the mark. But if you're a marketing guy or an HR guy, it doesn't work. So, it works definitely, but I don't really want you guys to tell laconic if you're a marketing or a HR guy. You can talk about finance, because finance, it's kind of imperative to be laconic. Talk up to the point and do your job. But you can say that I'm a laconic guy, and MBA is something which can help me out, kind of deal with people, deal with member, and then probably I can kind of get away with my weaknesses. Now remember this, there are 2 things which are really important that you need to keep in mind. A lot of people, a lot of faculty, a lot of mentor will tell you that always tell them the weakness, and when you tell them the weakness, tell them how do you improve it. Don't do that. What you're going to do is tell them the weakness and tell them that I need MBA for this. Because if you have a weakness and if you're also working on it and you're improving on it, then why the hell you need an MBA? You got to tell them that there is a gap in my professional life, in my personal life, and that gap can be bridged by an MBA degree. And that's the reason I'm kind of telling you guys to kind of do it the other way around. Decision making in crisis. Work ex guys, you got to mention that in my work, in my job, I had multi-million situation wherein I could not take quick decisions. I could not make decisions, the apt decisions in the crisis time. So you can tell them. Again, you can say that it's not only decision in the crisis. I think I am not really good at taking effective decisions. Decisions which can bring results to me in the future. So you can talk about effective decision making, because this is what you will be taught, or this is what you're going to learn when you join a B school, right? Next, adaptability is something that we can say that, Again, it is a strength, but you can turn it out as a weakness, saying that, okay, sometimes I feel that I am kind of not able to adapt to a situation very well. But again, you can say this with a pinch of salt. My advice, don't talk a lot about it, keep it silent. Impatient, say that, yeah, being impatient is one of my weakness, right? I always kind of get impatient for result, for any goddamn thing, right? You can talk in that manner. Next, working under pressure. Like sometimes I am not productive, sometimes I am not effective if I work under pressure. That's what MBA is going to teach me. That how do I, because when you get into an MBA, you got to work under pressure. Then you don't have, any other option, and you're going to learn it. And then you can say that, sir, I don't know how to swim, but if you're going to throw me in the water, I'm definitely going to do something about it, because I'm not going to lose on it. I'm not going to give up. And remember, your base strength. You said that you're adaptable and you're going to do everything, all that stuff, right? So this is going to help you. Next, risk management. I want to learn risk management. I want to understand risk management. That as a manager, as a person who has learned the management, how do you take decisions with the holistic approach? How do you take decision by keeping every bit of it in your mind? Most of the time, we take decision without thinking about anything else. But we got to know that if I am taking a decision in my life or at my office, how it's going to impact the other areas which are connected to it. Maybe they are invisible to you because you are not able to think from that perspective. And that's the reason risk management is going to be an important thing. Effective planning. Now, everybody can do plan. Everybody can plan out the stuff. Planning is like something that human beings can do easily. But there is something called as effective planning. Planning is something wherein you make a plan, you create a plan, you do it, and you get the result out of it. That's effective planning. Because anyway, planning is one of the function of management which you will be taught in the B school. So the moment you say that, a panel would kind of, it'll kind of hit him that, okay, this is the thing that is going to get taught to you in a B school. So you will be learning about planning and implementation and execution and all that. Fine. Last, multitasking. That I'm not somebody who's really good at multitasking. I will be working at a one situation, rather I will be working on one project at a one time. But trust me, you will get best of the best results out of me. But I think my weakness is that multitasking. That's the reason I want to learn that, while I do one work, how can I kind of control another also? And I think this is something I can learn from my MBA. So guys, always remember, whenever you talk about your weaknesses, don't tell them that you have weaknesses and you are really sad about it and you are really feeling bad about it. Don't do that. Your weakness should always kind of take you to the question, which is my MBA. Take up anything, any weakness from here. They will be asking you, okay, so can you just tell me, can you explain me how this MBA degree will help you to overcome this weakness? That is something we will be doing in the other chapter or other lesson, right? For PI. Anyway, so this is how your interview opens up. This is how your panel is going to ask you a question by default. Fine. Now, professional weaknesses, big no. Big no. You are not supposed to talk about any professional weakness. You're going to keep it on a personal level itself. So guys, I hope this is clear. Strength and weaknesses. Take a notepad, write it down, everything that you can come up with as far as your strength and weaknesses are concerned. Always remember, strength 3 to 4, weakness 1 or maximum 2. Never get emotional, right? Never emotionally get driven in your interview and tell them like more than 2 or 3 weaknesses. Doesn't look good. Max 1 weakness should be fine. So guys, that's it from my side in this tutorial. Now we will move ahead with the another lesson under PI. Thank you so much.